Hey there. Welcome to a deep dive into the Book of Ruth.
Oh, right.
Now, you might think you know this story.
Okay.
Sweet little love story, redemption, all that.
Right.
But trust me, we're about to uncover some hidden depth,
Yeah.
some surprising twists in this ancient text.
Absolutely. The Book of Ruth is often relegated to the love story shelf,
Right.
but it's just so much more than that. It
Yeah.
really grapples with these profound themes of loss, loyalty, social structures, and even how these seemingly insignificant actions
Yeah.
can have ripple effects throughout generations.
Okay, so let's set the scene.
Okay.
We're in Bethlehem,
All right.
but not the Bethlehem you might be picturing.
Yeah.
Forget the twinkling lights, carols, all that.
Right.
This is Bethlehem during a famine. And I don't just mean like a shortage of food here, right?
Yeah. Right. In the ancient world, famines signified a complete societal upheaval.
Yeah.
It represented a loss of stability, of order, even a sense of God's presence and blessing. Imagine your entire world being turned upside down,
Right.
livelihood, your future, even your faith, shaken to the core.
Oh, wow.
That's the backdrop against which this story unfolds.
That's intense. That's intense.
Yeah.
And it's into this turmoil that we meet Naomi, our central female character.
Yes.
She's already experienced unimaginable loss, losing her husband and both of her sons.
Right.
It's no wonder she cries out in Ruth 1.21,
Yeah.
I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty.
That line is incredibly poignant. On the surface level, she's talking about going to Moab with her family and returning to Bethlehem alone.
Right.
But on a deeper level, it reflects a profound sense of emptiness.
Yeah.
This wasn't just about being widowed. In that culture, childlessness, particularly for women,
Yeah.
carried immense social and even spiritual stigma.
Yeah.
It was seen as a mark of shame, a sign of God's disfavor.
Why?
Imagine carrying that weight.
Yeah, it makes that verse hit even harder, doesn't it?
It does.
You've got the very real loss of family, right?
Yeah.
Compounded by societal judgment.
Yes.
And even this underlying question of, why me?
Right.
It's like a perfect storm of grief and despair.
Exactly. And this feeling of emptiness,
Yeah,
even when surrounded by things or even other people.
right.
It's something I think we can all relate to even today. Naomi's experience forces us to confront a universal truth.
Okay.
Loss can leave us feeling profoundly hollow, questioning the very core of our beliefs and our place in the world.
That feeling of emptiness, of questioning everything,
Yeah.
something I think we can all relate to on some level.
Absolutely.
But then enters Ruth.
Yes.
She's one of Naomi's daughters-in-law.
Right.
And she makes a life-altering decision that really sets this story in motion.
Yes, she does.
So what does Ruth do that's so radical?
Okay.
And why is it so significant in the context of what we just discussed about Naomi's experience?
Yeah. Well, we have to remember Naomi is returning to Bethlehem defeated and, let's be honest, quite bitter.
Yeah.
She's even telling people to call her Mara,
Right.
which means bitter, a complete rejection of the life she once had. And it's into this desolation that Ruth speaks those famous words. Where you go, I go, your people shall be my people, and your God, my God.
It's a powerful declaration, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
And so much more than just a daughter-in-law offering support.
Exactly. Remember, Ruth is a Moabite.
Right.
To the Israelites, that meant she was not just a foreigner, but a descendant of a lineage
Well-
with a complicated past, often at odds with Israel.
Right.
For her to choose Naomi's God, Yahweh, over the gods of her homeland,
Yeah.
that was a radical act of faith and loyalty.
She's stepping outside of her comfort zone in a major way.
Absolutely.
It's making me think about the big commitments we make in our own lives.
Yeah,
What would be the modern equivalent of Ruth's vow?
right.
Maybe moving across the world for a loved one, leaving a career to care for a family member, decisions that require immense trust and often mean giving up a familiar life for something completely unknown.
And think about the social implications, too.
Yeah.
Naomi, even in her grief, recognizes the risks Ruth faces.
Yeah?
She even urges Ruth to stay in Moab,
Right.
to find security and a future within her own people.
Which makes Ruth's insistence on staying all the more powerful.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like she's saying, your well-being, your future is now my responsibility.
Wow.
It speaks volumes about her character.
Yes, it does.
But what's fascinating is that Boaz,
Yes.
our next character to enter the scene,
Right.
also embodies this idea of taking responsibility for others.
You're right. We often jump to Boaz as the love interest.
Right.
Which he is.
Yeah.
But he's introduced in a way that highlights his character long before any romantic notions come into play. Okay.
We're told he's a man of standing from the clan of Elimelech, Naomi's late husband.
Okay.
This detail is crucial because it connects him directly to the concept of a kinsman redeemer.
A kinsman redeemer. What exactly does that mean?
Think of it as a blend of social responsibility and legal obligation within Israelite culture.
Okay.
If someone fell into poverty or hardship, a close relative, a kinsman, had a duty to step in and help them reclaim what was lost.
Wow.
This could involve buying back their land, protecting them from exploitation, even marrying a widow to ensure the family line continued.
So it's a lot more than just lending a helping hand.
It is.
It's about preserving a family's legacy.
Yeah.
Their very place within the community.
Right.
And Boaz, because of his lineage, is in a position to be this redeemer for Naomi and by extension, Ruth. Precisely, but what's interesting is that Boaz goes above and beyond the call of duty,
Okay.
both legally and in terms of his personal actions towards Ruth.
Okay.
He notices her gleaning in his field,
Right.
a practice that allowed the poor to collect leftover grain after the harvest,
Right.
and he immediately inquires about her.
Oh, wow.
He's not obligated to do this,
Right.
yet he shows a genuine interest in her well-being, even instructing his workers to leave extra grain for her.
He's clearly a man who pays attention, who sees the needs of those around him.
Yes.
But it's interesting that you say he goes above and beyond.
Yes.
How so? What more could be expected of him at this point?
Well, legally speaking, as a kinsman redeemer, Boaz could have simply ensured Naomi had enough to get by.
Right.
Maybe helped her reclaim her land. But his actions towards Ruth, particularly in the scene at the threshing floor, demonstrate a deeper level of compassion and a willingness to take on a more personal and potentially riskier role in their lives.
Okay, the threshing floor, that's where things get really interesting.
Yes.
It's like the tension of the story ratchets up a notch.
It does.
This is a pivotal moment, a turning point.
Yes.
So can you set the scene for us?
Okay.
What happens at the threshing floor? And why is it so significant, not just for the story,
Right.
but for understanding the depths of Boaz's character?
Yes. Okay, so picture this. The threshing floor.
Okay.
Not just a random location, right?
Right.
It's this place of intense activity during the harvest
Yeah.
where the grain is separated from the chaff.
Right.
It's symbolic of abundance, but also this very deliberate process of separating what's valuable from what's not.
Yeah, and it's significant for another reason.
Yes.
It's a place where social norms are often relaxed,
Yes. Particularly.
especially during the harvest festival.
Yes, when there's a sense of celebration
Right.
and, dare I say, a bit of revelry in the air.
Okay.
It's under this cover of darkness and festivity that Ruth, following Naomi's rather strategic advice,
Okay.
uncovers Boaz's feet and lays down at his side.
Whoa. Okay, so this is a bold move,
Is.
even in the context of relaxed social setting.
Yes.
What's going on here?
Right.
I mean, because I have to admit, on the surface,
Yeah.
it seems a little out of character for Ruth,
Right.
who has been nothing but respectful and reserved up to this point.
It is bold, absolutely. But remember, Ruth is acting within the cultural norms of her time. This was a way for a woman to declare her interest in a man,
Wow.
to essentially propose marriage.
Okay.
And let's not forget, she's following Naomi's guidance,
Right.
indicating that this was a culturally acceptable, if somewhat risky, strategy.
Risky is an understatement.
Yes.
But what makes this scene so captivating, I think, is the vulnerability of it all.
Right.
Ruth is putting herself out there,
Yes.
trusting Boaz completely,
Absolutely.
knowing that her reputation, her future, everything is on the line.
And Boaz's response is just as crucial.
Yeah.
He could have easily misinterpreted the situation, taken advantage,
Right.
but instead he wakes up startled and asks, "Who are you?"
Right.
And when he learns it's Ruth,
Yeah.
his reaction is not anger,
Right.
not fear,
Right.
but admiration. He calls her a woman of noble character
Wow.
and praises her for choosing him, a much older man, over someone younger.
So not exactly the reaction you might expect from someone who's just been startled awake in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
He clearly recognizes the courage and the trust behind Ruth's actions.
Exactly. And then he does something extraordinary.
What's that?
He doesn't shy away from his responsibility.
Okay.
He promises to do right by her,
Yeah.
but he also acknowledges the legal complexities of the situation.
Okay.
There's another kinsman, closer in relation to Naomi,
Right.
who has the first right of redemption.
It's like Boaz is saying, I choose you, Ruth,
Yes.
but I'm going to do this the right way with honor and integrity.
Exactly.
He's not just a man of words, he's a man of action.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we see unfold. He goes to the city gate the next morning,
Right.
the place where all legal matters were settled,
Right.
and he publicly negotiates the redemption rights with the other kinsmen.
Wow.
It's a fascinating glimpse into the social and legal customs of the time.
And spoiler alert,
Yes,
Boaz succeeds.
he does.
He redeems Naomi's land,
Yes.
and he marries Ruth,
Yes.
publicly declaring his commitment to her and her well-being.
That's right.
Talk about a happy ending, but the story doesn't end there, does it?
It doesn't. In a way, the most remarkable part of the book comes after the marriage.
Okay.
The final verses trace the lineage of Ruth and Boaz,
Ugh.
and guess who their great-grandson turns out to be?
Don't tell me King David. No
Yeah.
way. Get out.
The mighty King David, Israel's most celebrated king, a man after God's own heart, is a direct descendant of Ruth, the Moabite woman who risked everything for love and loyalty.
That's incredible. Talk about your unexpected turns of fate.
I know.
This seemingly simple story of love and redemption is directly connected to one of the most significant figures in all of Israelite history.
Precisely, and it drives home a powerful message
Yeah.
that resonates even today.
What's that?
That even in the midst of famine, of loss, of uncertainty,
Oh, boy.
this unexpected events, the smallest acts of courage can have a ripple effect that extends far beyond what we could ever imagine.
It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
It does.
What seemingly insignificant choices are we making today that might have a profound impact on future generations? Ruth's story is a reminder that every act of kindness, every courageous decision, even every moment of quiet faithfulness can contribute to something much bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely. The Book of Ruth doesn't just offer a heartwarming tale.
Yeah.
It challenges us to see the extraordinary woven into the ordinary,
Okay.
to recognize the profound impact of our choices,
Yeah.
and to embrace the unexpected turns that shape our lives and leave a legacy that extends far beyond our own time.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you with this.
Okay.
What seemingly small acts of courage or kindness might you be called to embrace today?
Wow.
How might your story, your legacy, be intertwined with the lives of those around you in ways you can't yet imagine?
That's a great question.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Book of Ruth.
Yes, thank you.
We'll catch you next time.
Welcome to Charlie and Mia's podcast. We're embarking on an exciting journey to read through the entire Bible in just 1 year. Every day, we dive into Scripture, exploring its meanings and how it applies to our lives today. We invite you to join us on this incredible adventure of learning and discovery. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode.